The idea of directing a video was the farthest thing from my mind. They were thinking, well, okay, so now we got a release date potentially. We're thinking of some song, the singles that we would pull. And so what do you think? So I said, well, I like the song Runaway. And then we got into a discussion of, well, it was really Smoke a Sack's big song. He and Gus loved watching certain animated shows, and that he had said that he had wanted to do a video, that was an animation. I said, all right then, and I guess that's called directing it.
Take me away from here. Everybody's so fake, I swear. But I don't wanna go back there. Everybody's so fake, everybody act like they care. Take me away from here.
I remember I used to go to the record stores and I would look at the albums. I was so interested in the albums that had the actual artists' art and work and things, and I could learn more and more about them just from looking at it and reading it and studying it. So I thought we could really jam it full of Gus with the drawings that he'd done. So these drawings, some of them I knew pretty well. The character with the red hair and the flaming hands, it was actually a very interesting discovery because there was a series of these. I think this is really his final draft. There he is, he's got red fingernails and the hair and the necklace and everything. I said, Oscar, what is, wow. What's the deal with these, Oscar? And he said, no, I think these were from when we used to watch that cartoon. And this was the hero cartoon character. And this guy was actually one of the sort of bad guy bullies.
How come nobody's eating? Afraid of heartburn? Maybe it's your lousy cooking.
So the story of the video is just simply Gus wanted to leave LA. But he didn't want to move back to Long Beach, even though he loved his mother and his dog and his brother. And he ended up moving to London. Smoke a Sack, he liked the ending that Gus ends up in London, but it's also in the castle that he had dreamed of and planned to be able to buy, build, create for his friends and collaborators. And probably for people who were too poor to be able to have studio space and time. Jay Schumer was the one who said, well, you could direct this. And I don't know what directing means. I was telling the story. I said, you could do it this way. So I guess I wrote a treatment. And then Jay and Saul found Stephen Mertens, who could do this, who could execute this. This is Stephen Mertens. And he is the person who has worked very closely to make all of this happen in exactly the way that it should. That little guy is the person that I felt was Gus's sort of alter ego. Here he was about 6 years old when he drew that and was working so hard, making 6 or 7 versions of it to get it right, that there was this powerful person.
Because the video is such a multimedia experience, there's just so much going on visually that the simpler the narrative of the video, probably the better.
I ran away from my mama.
So this is a stop motion collage where little pieces change. We had that other picture that he had drawn when he was 6 of this premonition character that kind of is his vision of Lil Peep and what he could become. I cut out some paper and markers and stuff and did this kind of cheesy little...
But it's great.
And adding sparkles in there and stuff.
Well, in the olden days, you see, if you watch Batman with Adam West,
right.
That was kind of how it would happen when the scene would change. It was...
Yeah.
Speed is of the essence.
And so I printed out the original drawings and cut out arms from some of them and stuck them on top with sticky tack, and then the hair from each one of these versions. Luckily, we had 4 different versions of this character, and so we just replace it and then take a picture and replace it and take a picture.
Gotta get out first. Now I'm looking for a ghost girl. I ain't never gonna find her.
Here's Gus. That's our living room. That's Gus, James and Angelo, I love that. James is a bad boy. He's been a bad boy ever since I met him. And then this is Angelo, an old friend of Gus's too. They were definitely having a party. Angelo apparently would organize the parties when I would go see my friend Ken. And I'd say, Gus, I don't want to leave you alone. You know, I don't want you to feel alone. No, it's okay, Mom. I'll be all right. It's all right. It's okay. Have a good time. And then, woo, everybody come on over.
But I don't wanna go back there. Everybody's so fake, everybody act like they care.
This originally was a photograph that he took out of the back of his Echo Park apartment.
You know who took it? My mom.
Oh, your mom took
His
it.
grandma
Okay.
came and visited him.
I'm happy
You
to
wouldn't
learn
have
that.
known that.
Yeah, no, I mean,
She's the only family member who actually ever went in that side that place.
Take me away from here. Everybody's so fake, everybody's so fake, I swear.
He went to California, you know, a couple of times. First he went in 2014, he was 17. And that was ostensibly to go to Glendale Community College in Pasadena. But he was super homesick. I think that is a kind of a theme, you know, that feeling that you have when you just want to be home and you don't want to leave. But I think it was an important feeling for him. I think it was a familiar feeling.
Please don't cry, baby, life ain't fair. I run away from my pride.
I have no idea if I'm going to be directing any more videos in the future. I think it's hilarious to say that I even did that. I mean, all I did was just say, here's some stuff, here's my idea, now he's the person who did it all. I just gave you feedback and made your life more difficult.
I just feel like there was a lot of respect that went into it. We all just wanted it to be the best that it could be.
When this video came out, all of Gus's friends were telling me how much they loved it and how beautiful they thought it was. It's hard, you know, I mean, it's just hard to have him gone, but I'm always grateful for people like Stephen and Jay and John and Saul and Dylan who are helping to, you know, I guess do the very best that we can by him. I'm going to tell you a story just as a brief aside, and you can just keep this for yourselves. You can do what you want with it. But as an example of Gus asserting himself, but in a quiet and clever way, his brother asked him to go get him a glass of milk when they were Gus was maybe 15, and they were watching TV, and Gus got up and brought him a glass of milk and put a shit in the glass of milk.